Well, Jason Kenney just went mask off, I suppose. Alberta Premier Jason Kenney says he's accepted all along that COVID-19 infections in schools are inevitable, and that's no reason to keep classrooms shuttered. The costs to reduce class sizes are unrealistic. Jason Kenney, Premier of Alberta, leader of the United Conservative Party, just went completely mask off and said, money is more important than the health and safety of Albertan children. Alberta, why do you keep voting for these ridiculous conservative chuds who do not care about you? It's ridiculous. This man, you all love to complain about the equalization payments, yet this man is responsible for changes to them that make Alberta pay more into the equalization payment system. You voted for this guy who was an architect of one of the biggest things that you love to complain about. This man has also admitted to lying about the carbon tax damaging Alberta's economy. He has spent $30 million creating a war room within his cabinet to combat negative stories about Alberta's energy sector instead of, say, funding health services, teachers, schools, police. It's just ridiculous. This man is not your friend. He also pretty much stole the leadership. There's this whole investigation going on that's even got the RCMP involved. And you want to know what he did to show his innocence? He fired the elections commissioner while the elections commissioner was investigating his party. Jason Kenney is not a good dude. He's pretty much, at this point, I'm willing to say, just an evil guy who happens to be governing one of the most important provinces in Canada. And if you want proof of how and why he's terrible, beyond already just these problems that he's caused at this very tip of the iceberg, and, pretty much stealing leadership, he also wanted schools to out gay kids. He and his party have been caught engaging in witness tampering. They deny climate change. He bragged about denying gay AIDS patients the right to have visits from their partners. He happily employs bigots, racists, Islamophobes, and anti-Semites in his party, in his staff, and in his cabinet. He's also openly, talked about and celebrated Faith Goldie, a notable Nazi in Canada. And unfortunately, that's really just getting started, because that's him and his party, the United Conservative Party of Alberta. And if you see all of that, how can you hear all these things and think that this man and his party are good people, effective governors? They aren't, and it's high time Albertans realize this. He blames all of Alberta's faults on this foreign conspiracy that he doesn't even really name, and that it's always their fault and not Alberta's fault. It's not like 40 or so years of conservative dogma and economic doctrine haven't put Alberta into the precarious position it is. That has nothing to do with it, right, Jason? This man thinks that there is a foreign-funded conspiracy against Alberta and its oil from very conspiratorial and left-wing groups like Moody's, Shell, Tech Resources, Warren fucking Buffett, Koch Industries, Norway's Statoil, Marathon Oil, and Encana. Yeah, I know. That's just the list of all the people who sponsor Antifa or something. I don't know. It's so dumb. And yet he says that it's a foreign conspiracy and not the actual hand of the free market telling him and Alberta to get their act together, to wake up and smell the coffee and move on from the oil and gas sector. Alberta has made its own mess, and Jason Kenney is an architect of a great deal of it. And beyond simply being a destructive premier in his own right, he also happens to be a monstrously evil and bigoted person and happily courts monstrous, bigoted people. It is shameful and embarrassing, and I wish that more Albertans felt the same way.